So, before we... No, don't worry, I don't have the COVID. That's the sound of an owl who's been smoking for well over 20 years, quitting cold turkey. As we want to make sure the owlet, which, yes, refers to a baby owl, and not the derpiest omelette you'll ever eat, doesn't have a dad that smokes as, well, that's how I got started. Oh, and because smokers are bloody expensive nowadays, and we just can't find money in the budget for them. So yeah, apologies for the slow production as of late, and if my voice sounds funny, my brain has not been thinking my thinky thoughts right, and it also feels like my entire body was dipped in acid. Yeah, don't smoke, kids, because this was some train spotting shit. Now, before we get cracking, two more announcements. Firstly, Mrs. Owl is enormously pregnant. Don't tell her I said that. So we're anticipating our little owl burrito in less than 3 weeks. Yikes-a-rooney. Secondly, and relatedly, is that a word? We're planning something special and I guess fun to say thanks to those who have helped out with the babykins via a super thanks or a Patreon sub. More about this soon, but let's just say it's going to be open all February and it is going to be pretty damn cute. So if you want to ensure that you have a spot on the whoops, almost gave the game away there, now would be a good time. Regardless, on with the show. Hello all, this is the Owl, and today we're going to see part 2 of Pure. I must say, the response the original video got was pretty interesting. This is definitely a more polarizing manga than I expected, with a whole bunch of folks loving it, and a whole bunch of folks declaring it to be the worst thing since anchovies on pizza. The big complaint seems to be, well, it's dumb, which, yeah, but it's also a long-form Ito story. Of course it's going to be batshit on toast, trying to eat a banana with your left ear hole, howling at the moon crazy. That is kind of the appeal. The other big complaint is that it's just gross, which, okay, that's fair. It's Ito, and occasionally Ito seems to want to indulge his inner 4-year-old and just be disgusting, and I completely understand why that might not be everyone's cup of tea. Wait, what did I just say? Our two main characters, Tadashi and Kaori, went on holiday to Okinawa, and we learned that Tadashi's sort of an easy come, easy go, but still rather nice bloke. And Kaori's a bit of a prima donna. Incredibly fussy, always having a sulk, and giving Tadashi a hard time, as well as being a complete germaphobe. They, however, bore witness to a bizarre phenomenon, the sea life rising from the ocean and coming up onto land to cause havoc, running around on little spidery appendages, including Legs the shark and Fartbag the fish, so called because it flies around in a fart bag. Again, this is Ito being crazy. These so-called walking fish rapidly grew in number and became understandably something of a problem. While the duo were able to survive and head back inland, Kaori is feeling sicker and sicker. Anyways, yeah. This is the part of the manga where the mangaka gradually pushes down on the accelerator on the, I guess, clown car. That's the best I could do. And we start creeping up towards full Ito. We'll get there, don't you worry. Anywho, Tadashi and Kaori arrive at his uncle's lab, and we learn that the chap is a genius inventor and also absurdly wealthy, hence the holiday house in Okinawa. Tadashi explains what happened, and rather than being horrified, the uncle really wants to see one of these walking fish. Yeah, the scientists poking things that should never be poked is as Ito a story beat as anything. Tadashi goes to see if Kaori is feeling any better. And yeah, mate, she seems completely fine. So fine that she runs out into the, I think, Tokyo streets, rambling and shouting that she can still smell the stinky fish. Tadashi attempts to get her to calm down as a crowd begins to form around her, and then one of them points at, okay, go home, Ito, you're drunk. It's the farty fish bag, which, what? So, yeah, somehow this thing followed them all the way from Okinawa to Tokyo, and no, this is never explained. Both of these characters are terrified of non sequiturs, so they leg it, but the bag seems to chase them, what are we doing, before bursting and pooping out the rotting but still somehow moving carcass of the fish. For some bloody reason, rather than say just moving to Nobeyama, look it up. They put the writhing, reeking thing into another bag and bring it to Tadashi's mad scientist-looking uncle. Because this is a fantastic idea, especially when, of course, it turns out that the uncle knows exactly what's going on here because Junji Ito plotline. What do I mean? Well, we get a short period of time where the story remains at least fairly grounded. Don't worry, this is grounded in the sense that we're about to start climbing the mountain of full Ito as Kaori and Tadashi bicker some more. She's clearly a little strange and a little paranoid, but I do want to point something out that I mentioned in my previous video. Note how Ito moves speech bubbles out of the panel. This is a technique that I love. It gives your art so much more room to breathe. Tadashi, I'm guessing, to just get her ass in off the street, practically drags her back home. But she's reluctant, saying that there might be monsters in hidden places, behind drawers, under the bed, and yeah, that's actually pretty smart horror writing, Mr. Ito, because there's a phobia, both common and universal, revolving around creepy crawlies, violating our safe private spaces by hiding in out of vision areas. It's why when you find a giant spider, say, hiding under a coffee cup in your cupboard, you're probably going to do a tear down clean after running through the house dual-wielding cans of Raid. But to shut her up, Tadashi humors her and shows that no, there are no walking fish hiding in random parts of the house. There's none in the cupboard, there's none in the shoe. Well done. That actually scared me. And yeah, I know people love the shark, but I actually consider that little sequence to be the best horror sequence of the manga. Sort of. We'll get to that stupidity in a bit, but this does give me an excuse to talk about something that I've wanted to talk about for a while now, as it's kind of become a big thing on this channel, especially due to my last PTSD radio video. What a weird combination of words that is. Anyway, it's about how to deliver a jump scare without it just being a cheap, annoying startle tactic. Because you might be surprised to hear, I'm actually not a big fan of jump scares in general, but there are some done so well that I have to respect them. And the word of the day is subconscious. Let's take a look at a Western example, and also what I consider to be probably the scariest moment in anything ever. And if you've seen the movie I am about to reference, if you're like me, this is one that you have repressed. It's the diner scene from Mulholland Drive. Oh yeah. Now, if you haven't seen this bit, pause this video right now. Don't worry, you don't have to watch the entire movie. Just go over and look up Mulholland Drive diner scene on YouTube. No, I am deadly serious. It's like 5 minutes, and it's a horror vignette so perfect that the only thing my dumb description will do is spoil it for you. Go and watch it. No, I'll wait. I'll just be spending blood points in the meantime. Tumty 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 tumty. Done? Fantastic. Holy crap. But that is David Lynch, man. So, this shoe closet scene is obviously not that good, but it works on a similar level. You introduce something innocuous, but still a little worrying. Like, for example, a man recounting a really odd but scary dream. However, you don't make it super obvious. This puts the audience into an uneasy state. You're basically sowing the seeds of unease. And yes, anyone with a bit of Japanese just got my really bad pun. What I'm saying is, that thing you introduced will be in their subconscious. And then, after you give them time to stew, you take a mallet and you hit that subconscious as hard and as suddenly as you can. That is where you get the scare. It works in kids' movies just as well as it does in adult horror. Some examples, and I'm sure you can think of some more. The ending of Dead Space, or the ending of The Descent, as well as, I guess, the lightning counting and the clown scare from Poltergeist, the Piggy Man from American Horror Story, Smiley from The Haunting, which and a handful of others do this bloody well. But yeah, this is why I like this moment so much. It sets up the idea that, it's totally illogical, but what if there was a walking fish hiding somewhere impossible, like your shoe closet? It's a subconscious, irrational childhood fear, like being scared of flushing the toilet. And the fact that it violates logic is part of what makes it so damn scary. What a rambly tangent that was. So, wait, what? You're kidding. You know what? Take everything I just said and flush it straight down the Kazi, because damn it, that is stupid. Yep, turns out the entire thing was a perspective gag. It was not a walking fish. It was just a cockroach. Ito, what was the point of that? And no, this is never mentioned again, and we never ever do another perspective sequence. Why? Anyways, this next bit is also ridiculous. The scientist dude is dissecting the walking fish, and it turns out that once the rotting meat and bone are discarded, this head crab looking bastard is left behind. And yeah, like most genius scientists would do, especially to a bizarre, nasty looking contraption, he just reaches out and grabs it. That's not scary, that's a Laurel and Hardy bit. Meanwhile, Tadashi and Kaori are watching TV. The walking fish have started appearing on the coastline of Kyushu. And yeah, we are about to get a great big exposition dump, so alright, pull up a chair. And before that, let's take a short break.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
And we're back. Tadashi and Kaori are summoned to the scientist's house, where they immediately notice the stink of rot. And we move into the over-explaining what's going on so that it's no longer scary in the slightest segment of this horror story, which, as you can probably tell, is something that really annoys me. And brace yourselves, because soon we'll be at maybe 60% full Ito. But okay, so what the hell is going on? Well, the scientist explains that his father was involved in covert bioweapons research on an island near Okinawa. This is a real thing, by the way. It's why you get those special Japanese islands with a crapzillion of a single animal species and not much else. The progenitors of those animals were probably test subjects for something weird. And, okay, so they created a bioweapon that here gets translated as germ, but I think virus or bacteria would have worked better. I forget which one it actually is, but I think it was bacteria. Not important. What is important, though, is that it causes ridiculous amounts of unbelievably horrible smelling gas to build up inside an animal and... Ito, you really are something special. So they planned to basically send farting animals into the lines of the invading Allied forces to make them feel ill. No, how am I supposed to take this seriously after that panel? Ito, you know, that's not even Dr. Evil levels of silly. That's like Mr. Nobody levels of silly. And now I've made myself sad. But don't worry, it gets even sillier. As the bacteria kill the animal pretty fast, they built, okay, get this, fart-powered machines with an infected animal inside them to basically walk around and stink up the battlefield. Ito, put down... Wait, what are you drinking? Put down that can of paint thinners and listen to me for a second. I am going to explain something to you that most horror people don't need explained. Something important. Ready? Farts aren't scary. There is no way to make farts scary. Stephen King tried this and it wasn't scary. There is no way to make a farting cat scary. There is no way to make a farting dog scary. Even if you stick it into a tin can and send it out to fart up enemy encampments. What are we doing here? What do you say to this, Ito?
I do cocaine!
Yes, you certainly do. And as we close in on the end of Volume 1, this manga's making my brain squeak. But we do see that the scientist has gone completely nutty-butties, and the manga is about to follow suit, as Tadashi gives us a pretty obvious bit of foreshadowing. He goes to check on Kaori, but finds her wrapped in a ball of blankets, and the entire room filled with an incredible stink. Okay, what follows is kind of notorious, so I am going to put a bit of a content warning here. If you have a thing about disease or body horror or, well, self-harm, video's almost done for the day, so you can have an early one. I don't know, go and play some Dead by Daylight or something, and come back next time. There will be a short summary. For everyone else, it's not scary, but we're about to enter a pretty gross part of the manga. Alright, everyone warned, let's do this. Yup, as you might have guessed, Kaori is also infected, and yeah, this is a pretty messed up sequence, as the attractive, fastidious, and germophobic Kaori is now a rotting, stinking, bloated monstrosity. But worse yet, she is still completely lucid. She knows what's going on with her body. That is really dark. But again, it's hard to take this seriously as she's literally emitting stink lines and a stinky sound effect. It's disturbing, but my inner 8-year-old is laughing way too hard for it to be as impactful as it should be. And yes, tone is by far this manga's biggest problem. Anyways, you can probably see where this story is going, as a news report informs us that the walking fish are swarming all the way down at Suruga Bay, which is a good ways south of Tokyo. Okay, so they encountered the walking fish in Okinawa. That makes sense. Lots of weird-ass experiments were done there during the war. And yeah, if you ever want to know why maybe 75% of Japanese video games have secret evil science experiment that went wrong as their core plot, well, but now they're seeing them attacking around Tokyo and Shizuoka. Not, Kumamoto or Kagoshima. It's probably just an oversight or me being dumb, not that important. We do get to see a news van getting overrun, but the crew can only look on in terror as, whoa, something rises from the ocean. Yup, it is a massive walking whale. Don't get your hopes up. I think this is the only time we ever see it. Back over at Tadashi's, Kaori is going pretty much insane. And we get that scene. It's one that quite a few people refer to as one of Junji Ito's most disturbing moments, but let's break it down, because this is Kaori's big payoff. We've set up that she's a germaphobe, a neat freak, pretty vain about her looks, and cannot handle bad smells. And now she's become infected with a horrible bacterium that's made her swell up, sprout boils, and exude constant powerful farts from every orifice. So she does probably what you're expecting her to, and takes a short walk off a long ceiling cable. And yes, that might be the most tasteless joke I've made on this channel. Tadashi finds her, but he's too late. She's hanged herself from the lamp cord. Holy crap! See, that should hit like a whale on legs, but it doesn't. Why? Well, she's still emitting farts with enough force to basically make her spin and rotate like a rotisserie chicken. Come on, that's funny, right? Or maybe I'm just a sicko. Again, what am I supposed to be feeling here, Ito? Tone! I demand you pick a damn tone and stick with it for 10 consecutive pages. Crikey Moses. Anyways, Tadashi attempts to find a hospital, and we get another pretty fun sequence with Legs the Shark and the city of Tokyo now totally overrun by sea life. Tadashi is forced to retreat to his uncle's lab, who agrees to drive Kaori to the hospital, but tells Tadashi that he needs to go and check on his parents in Kanagawa. Of course, none of the trains are running, so like a moron, and because we need one of these sequences, you know, walking through the streets and seeing everything messed up. I'm not sure why, but I actually really like this panel. Actually, this entire next sequence is pretty neat. It reminds me of stuff like Dawn of the Dead or Stephen King's The Mist. We get an attack by a walktopus, and the first volume ends with Tadashi falling into some kind of culvert, which is swarming with hundreds of walking fish. So, let's end it there, because in the next volume, well, to put it mildly, this is where the story goes completely insane, redlining the whackometer into full 100% Junji Ito. Before we finish for the day, I want to give a huge thanks, as always, to my fantastic patrons: Asterix at Gaming, Cheerful Satanist, Starwin Marwin, Hilo J, Jacob Ramsey, Crazy, James Makes Jam, Wargle, Calcor, Lance Goebel, Paul Norberger, Piece of Yeast, Rafferty, Aaron Arnold, The Hedgehog Gamer, Simone, and XTC Pill. If you want to see more like this, why not stick around? Subscribe, bell, you know what to do. If you want to hear me say your name, get early access to most of my videos, have some fun perks on the Discord, and, you know, help myself or Mrs. Owl or Baby Owl out, and ensure that I can keep on doing what I'm doing, why not take a look at our Patreon? All links, as always, are in the description. Take care, my friends, and cheers. This is the Owl, signing off.